Hello and welcome to another episode of Launch Legends. Today we're joined by Paul O'Keeffe. Paul actually got into online marketing not that long ago. When a lot of people, when they start out, they struggle. Paul did not. How? He went and partnered up with someone who was a veteran in launch space and became the JV manager. In fact, he did so well that for his first launch, he did $240,000 in revenue. And now he regularly does $200,000 for each launch. So you don't want to miss this interview. Paul really goes deep into the power of networking and building relationships to do well in launch space. Before we watch the interview, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this on a podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Okay, Paul, we are recording right now. So please tell me, how did you first get into online marketing?
Hi, Hamed. Yeah, well, that was about 5 years ago. It was quite a strange story, the way it happened, really. I'd been doing some work with a guy called Mark Lyford. I was doing some, we got into Bitcoin when it was only about $100 a shot, and we were mining Bitcoins out, and we were making about 9 Bitcoin a week at the time. Back in about 2014, we were doing really well. But he was also getting involved with doing some software launches in the launch space, and he was working with a guy called Richard Fairburn, who was a traffic guy at the time. He'd come from a couple of other backgrounds doing online marketing as well. And so Mark was going to set up a software company working with him. And he just advertised. I saw him advertising for it. And at the time, I was sort of kind of toying with the idea of moving back to the UK. I'd got married, had a little baby girl, 6 months old. And so Mark advertised that he wanted an affiliate manager, a JV sort of person to go and reach out and get affiliates to come on board and promote the software. He didn't ask me to do it. I was doing other stuff with him. And then I saw it and I said, look, let me do it. I know I don't know anything about it. I've never been in the launch game. I've never been in, but I'm good socially with people. So he said, okay, I can do it. So I started working with Mark back in the January 2015. And Richard was Mark's partner at the time. And then through whatever happened that year, Mark had a bit of a bad year. And the company kind of just disbanded, like in around October. But the software side of it with Richard was still kind of like going, but Mark wasn't kind of getting as hands-on as what I'd been doing. I'd been talking to Richard every day. I've been doing the affiliate recruitment stuff. And so when Mark's come, I got made redundant off Mark. And then Richard just said, look, why don't you come and work with me? Why don't we team up? You work for me. I'll take you on. I'll let you be my JV manager and just keep going as what you were going to do with Mark, but I'll work with you. So that's kind of how it sort of happened. It kind of happened with the help of Mark. Mark got me into it. But then with Richard, I just took off on another level, really. And since then, I think we've probably done 17 or 18 launches now, me and Richard together, I think.
So,
and I think
those launches, were they all software products or info products as well?
Mostly, I'd say 90% would have been software, usually SaaS apps, just ones that people can log in the cloud and just do whatever they need to do. We didn't do any desktop apps. There's a couple of training courses and membership sites that were in there as well, but I'd say probably 12 of them were software launches in the IM space mainly. I think, we grossed just under about $2 million, I think, with those launches. I know it's averaged out about $100,000. It's 6-figure launches each time is what it averaged out over the 5 years, I think.
Got it. So awesome. So now to one specific launch. So let's talk about your most successful launch, and then how did that go, and what kind of product that was?
Well, we kind of had 3 that were all pretty good for different reasons, but one of them is kind of our flagship, and we're going to relaunch a version 3.0 in September. We're going to launch again on my birthday, actually, in September. It was called Pixel. The first time we launched it, we did about 240K on the first one. There's about 3,000 sales. And then we've had 3 of them that did over 200K in a week. The other one was Social Hub, which was launched the year after that. And then last year we did Funnels Kit, which was kind of like it was like an affordable version of ClickFunnels, basically, is the way we kind of promoted that. And that actually today, that has actually grossed more in the week than what the Pixel one did. But Pixel, because it's been there for longer, has grossed 400K now. We're going to relaunch that. So I'd say Pixel was probably the biggest of the 3, and it's kind of our flagship product. But the feedback we got from Funnels Kit was really good though as well. People were loving that because it was kind of, instead of paying $97 or $297 a month for ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
We let them get in at a one-time fee, and then our recurring to get extra funnels into them and templates and stuff was only $9.97 a month. So it was like a tenth of the price, or a 30th of the price, depending on which way you look at it.
Okay, so let's talk about Pixel. Could you tell me more about the product?
Yeah, Pixel, it was basically at the time, it was quite groundbreaking, really. We were the first people to, it's evolved into an absolute beast now, to tell you the truth, because we put over our other platforms, we pulled them inside it. So we had like a couple of other launches we did was Clicksit, and they were like where you could do the share a link to it, to something like having the post, and you had your pop-up came over that sort of web page authority. That was another really successful launch. But what Pixel was, it was a graphical banner creator, but it's HTML5 one. So what you could do at the time when no one else was really doing that, and you could actually overlay banners that were in HTML5. So you could have like an advert that came up for a local business that was hooked up with, I don't know, Google Maps. And then on the Google Map, you could drop in the Skype over your building. And then if they clicked on the Skype and the advert, it opened up a live Skype call through your advert. You know, we were quite groundbreaking with what we did with Pixel, and people seemed to sort of love it. And it was so much more than what it did. It was just a really good graphics tool, but it basically was designed for people running banner ads and then just taking it to another level and incorporating HTML5 in it. I mean, there's a lot of people who've done it since. It was 5 years ago we launched that, 4 years ago. Sorry, 4.5. So, but yeah, we've been evolving that. We've kept it going. We've got a good community of people that use it week in, week out, and we've put in quite some. I'm not going to disclose what we're putting into the launch in September, because we've got to keep that quiet at the moment, just so nobody steals it off us. But we're going to do a really big launch in September, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, we're going to version 3.0.
So let's talk about first launch you did for Pixel. So who did you launch to, and how did you build that audience you launched to? Okay,
cool. So the way we've done it, I'm quite lucky that I got to team up with Richard, because Richard had already been doing this for a couple of years. He was a well-known name in the space. He was my mentor, was Richard, basically. Everything I know has come from him. I talk to him every single day, and he's just an absolute legend in the space. And he's technically really, really gifted. He's very good at anything online marketing. He's a genius when it comes to paid traffic. He's good at list building. And so what he already had a really huge email list. Okay. And because he had an email list that was big, we really kind of based ourselves around the receipt model. So for that launch, what we could do is like building up to it. I would reach out to a lot of people that we knew were going to be good affiliates that could bring some heat, could bring the traffic, it fit their audience. So I would look at who would have an audience on their email list that would need something as like a banner or graphics type program. Okay. And then we kind of reached out to a lot of those people from within the JV Zoo type crowd and around there. So what I did, I went and looked at the leaderboards, who was topping them on similar type products or similar products in that type of niche. Then we just say, okay, get Richard to hit quite a few of the launches. So when he got onto the leaderboard, I get in touch and say, okay, we're going to hit yours. We're going to get on the leaderboard. Will you sit back for our product? And it did a lot of backwards and forwards. One of the key things I would say, and what I would say to anybody who's wanting to get a really good launch, and there's no other ways about this, is the power of going to events and networking with people. All three of our big launches that we've done that did over 200K were all the ones that were kind of done on the back of us attending a couple of events. Okay. And even sponsoring events and doing that stuff. And because what it does, you go into an event, you know you're going to have like at least 30, 40 affiliates in there that could promote your product, sometimes more. And if you network well, you mingle well, you give a lot of value to these people, you make friends with them. I mean, that's key to us. You see, in this business that we have now, there's a lot of people that just tag you in a message on Facebook with another 100 people and they expect you to promote. If somebody makes me a personal video and I know that person, I'm going to promote them, you know, and someone else could have the best product in the world. They tagging me on Facebook, it ain't going to get me promoting for them. So building up relationships with people, because you look after your friends. It's as simple as that, you know, and even if the product isn't quite as good as somebody else's, but it's my mate who's launching it, I'm sorry, I'm going to be promoting for my mate. So that, I kind of got that happened. I learned that quite early on, because there's some people that I would have really liked to promote for us, and they were a bit offish with me. And I've kind of like now, I realize that it's not the way to go. You just need to build up a good, and we now have this good network of people where we know when we launch, I can rely on 10 people. And 10 good affiliates will bring you 80% of your sales. So for us, the rest will follow after that. As long as I've got these 10 people on side with us for every launch, then we're pretty happy, you know.
Great. So here's a question for you. So right now, no one can go out. No one can really go out and attend events.
Yep.
So what's your advice for someone who can't travel? I mean, right now, no one can travel, but eventually, when things are open and people still can't travel for various reasons, what's your advice for someone like that?
Be personal. What I do, I go above and beyond, I think, what a lot of people in my space do. I've seen a couple of other people doing it, and they do it really great as well. But what I do, even when I launch, if I can go out and go about, I go to the park in Bangkok, I'll go to different places, and I literally make 30 videos on my phone, less than a minute, and I talk to them, to everybody as a human being. And I look at the Facebook, I'll see what they've been talking about. Maybe there's been a problem in their life, maybe there's something good's happened in their life, but I'll just be a human. And I'll say, I've seen you doing it, and by the way, if you've got a good launch coming up, you want us to promote it, send me the details, I'll have a look at it.
Okay.
And then here's our launch. If you're interested, let me know. I can set you up with access. I can look after you. And it's just be human, you know, be a nice guy, and people will come on board with you, you know. And there's no reason to stop that. Now with lockdown, it's just as easy. There's probably more reason to do it because you've got more time on your hands. I did it like when I was like going for my exercise, my daily exercise around the park. Instead of just walking around the park with my earphones and listening to a podcast, I would record the videos on my phone, and I'd come out of the park and have 30 videos, and I'd just shoot them all off at the end of that day. So I was doing like 150 videos for each of our launches and sending them out, personal messages to these people. I've seen other people that are doing it, and they're making like a generic message and then tagging a little bit at the start saying, oh, hi, Paul, hi. But then the rest of the message is just standard. Mine were just totally, absolutely personal all the way through, you know. And the amount of messages I got back and people saying, wow, I can't believe you actually speaking to me personally. And I said, yeah, I think that's the way to do it. So I start this like 3 months before the launch usually.
So that's quite funny because a couple of months ago, I was trying to reach out to some people, and we were sending emails, me and my team, and our reply rate was very low. So I watched this video by a guy called Max Maher, a young guy, and he basically mentioned that he sent out personalized videos to a lot of his customers, potential customers, and his business just, you know, went up really high. So
exactly
I did something similar where for a week I sent out personalized videos. I just did a recording. Hey, for example, hey, Paul, how are you? I just thought I would reach out and say hi, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this, and I would love to talk to you sometime. And I think I did about 20 videos, and I got something like 12 people reply, and they all agreed to talk to me. So, and then I realized it's just so much more effective than just sending out emails or reaching out just randomly. We can just do a 2 minutes video. And the funny thing is, it would take me 2 minutes or 3 minutes to record a video. Whereas if I was writing an email, that would take me a lot longer, like 15, 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot easier to record a video. And
it's just better on every level, you know. And I'd love to see the statistics from, you know, the other guys that are doing like recruitment like I do, you know, the other JVs and affiliate managers, because I'd like to know what percentage of the people they contact actually end up sending them at least one sale. Because my rate of the people that send me sales is well over 50% on every launch.
Right.
And I don't think people get anything like that, you know.
Great. So let's go back again to your first launch with Pixel. So did you start 3 months before the launch, or again? I'm just going.
The Pixel one, I was kind of. It was me. We actually had Chris Jenkins with us. I was kind of learning at the time. I was still in the infancy of learning my trade, if you like. It was 4 years ago. So I was kind of learning a lot from Chris Jenkins, who'd been around a long time, same as Richard. I had two people who'd got between them probably 40 years worth of experience, you know. So I'm just learning every single day, constantly from both of these two guys. So that for me, that wasn't one of my long build-ups to it. I think I was probably hitting people up. We went to the event in, I think it was San Diego, JV Zoo event in San Diego. Probably 5 or 6 weeks before is when I started on that one, trying to get people on board for it. Yeah, but now, I mean, I say 3 months. It's kind of changed the last few months actually, because we've just changed our business model. We're just doing a lot of smaller little launches to do lead gen, building up to it. So we're getting like just doing some info products and smaller little software launches now every 5 or 6 weeks. So I can't do what I would normally do for the big launch, but we're just building up the email list from those ones so we can promote Pixel to those guys in September, So we kind of changed the model up a little bit at the moment, but if it was up to me and it was a perfect launch, I would want at least 3 months before we launch it with the product working perfectly so I can show people it, they can use it, they can case study it.
Okay.
I'm not one of these. There's a lot of people who launch in our space where they haven't even got the software working until 2 days before, and it just drives me crazy. I'm wanting to review it, I want to look at it, and people hitting me up 2 or 3 days before. We book our promos at least 6 weeks in advance, So I've just been speaking to Richard, actually. I've had 7 people contact me today asking if I can promote next week. 7 people in one day have asked me to promote their product.
Got it.
It's impossible, You can't please everybody. So we've kind of done this thing now where we sort of receipt more. So the people who've sent us like 10, 20 grand on Pixel or on Social or Funnelscape, those guys, we've kind of stuck with those guys, and they send us big sales, so we make sure we do our best to send the big sales back to them. And once you start doing that with people, you start to build up good, strong relationships,
Got it. So let's talk about your product. How did you package it? So what was your offer for the launch?
All right, for the original one.
Yeah, and the original one, and how did you make it better and better over further launches?
Well, I had a really congruent funnel, the original one. It was the first time, actually, I've ever seen, and I've never seen it since. On JVZoo, our front-end product was the number 1 selling product in the past 30 days, and the number 2 selling product in that same 30 days was our OTO. It was the OTO, it was our upsell. It was the number 2 selling product on the whole platform.
So what was it? How did it work so well?
It was a pro version of it. And do you know what? I can't even remember what actually that is. Like I said, I'm more like the social guy. Richard would be the techie guy who comes up with the amazing funnels. So I just say, look, come and promote this front end and you'll make some good money. And that's kind of what happens. But I think the pro version, you got an agency license with it, so you could use it for clients. So you could go and like make banner ads and things like that. So the front end, you had you could make your own ads and use it for yourself. The upsell was we built a whole agency package into it, I think, and so then they could go up and set up their own business, if you like, to actually sell banners to other companies and stuff like that.
Okay, and how many OTOs did you have? One-time offers.
Right, on the original Pixel, we only had 2 upsells. It was quite a small funnel. It was front end, an OTO 1 and an OTO 2.
Okay.
On a Pixel Evolution launch, we actually had 3 upsells on that one, I think, because we put it was a congruent product, but we put it on the back. We had a social media platform that we put on the back that kind of fit with it. So it wasn't actually part of the Pixel package. It was another one of our softwares that just it worked hand in hand with it. You could do you could like schedule social media posts and things like that, but you could also use Pixel to do that, to make the banner graphics and all that sort of stuff. So they just worked really well together. So that's why we plugged that into it.
And what about your front end? I mean, you had the product. Did you offer any other bonuses to beef up the whole package?
Yeah, on the original, I honestly can't remember if we did it on. I know we did on. We definitely did on Pixel Evolution. We did on Funnelscape and we did on Social Hub. We offered what would have been something in the funnel as a free bonus on the front end, or we offered an agency license for Social. We offered the agency license that was going to be the upsell. We put that on the front end, and then it just blew up. It went crazy. Did that launch as well.
Got it. What about the text?
Yeah, so we do that now. We do that. The original Pixel, we didn't do that, but we learned afterwards that doing that is a massive thing. So we do that all the time now. Yeah.
Got it. Great. So let's talk about the technology. What kind of tools did you use that helped you with the launch?
Actually, you're asking the wrong person. That's not my remit. I mean, he'd tell you the whole stack and everything. But to be honest, the way me and Richard work, it's very efficient. We know what we're doing.
Okay.
We just use, you won't believe this, we just use Google Sheets and Google Docs.
Okay.
For communicating and doing stuff and setting a task, we don't go into Trello or any of that sort of stuff. Just when me and Richard are working and we're setting it all up, we can do it all with spreadsheets and Word docs, and that's how we do it.
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah. Honestly, don't get me wrong. We use Trello, and Richard uses lots of different stacks of programs for all the development teams. He's got about 8 or 9 staff that work for him full time. So it has to be used in certain situations, but for the actual launch itself, and I mean, so from the dev side of it and all that, Rich would have to tell you what he used, but I don't see any of that. I keep out of it. So I literally do everything I get done on a launch gets done in Google.
Great. Just keeping it simple. I think
absolutely.
Richard being a techie, I'm from a tech background, so we like to complicate things more than necessary. Sometimes that happens as well. So what about your results? Let's talk about what kind of results did you get from the first launch of Pixel and all the subsequent launches, if you feel comfortable talking.
Okay. Well, I think on the first one we did about $240,000 in a week, and then we did about 3,000 customers into that, 3,000 front end sales.
Okay.
So all these 3 launches that I would mention, because there was one after another each year, they all did around the same amount of numbers on the front end, around 3,000 people. Customers, okay. But so Social did exactly 200K in a week.
Okay.
Pixel did about 240, and then Funnels Kit last year did actually 260K, just because it had a bit of a stronger funnel behind it, so it was 260K. We just learned a few things, and that has now gone up to well over 300 because we've got quite a bit of recurring stacked into that, which is what we're going to do on the next Pixel. We've learned a lot. We've tested a few different things, and what we've learned is to do not micro, but well, yeah, they are micro recurring payments. It just works really well, and the churn rate's really low. And these numbers now, we're just getting this recurring income that's coming in, and people are not cancelling. Whereas before we've tried it, doing like 37 a month, 47 a month. It's hard to retain people at that. After a while the churn goes down, but we've knocked them down to like just around $10 a month, and the people just do not cancel. It's making far more money.
Okay, great. So you've done a lot of launches. Let's go back to your first one till now. So if you were to go back now, what would you do differently? What didn't go to plan? What went to plan? And like a pro now, so what would you do differently?
Okay. Well, I could go back to something that went wrong on the Social Hub launch. We had a real nightmare. It probably cost us about 20 grand as well, $20,000 at least.
Is that a lot, or you actually made money from it? Also?
No, we lost that. There was something, I'll explain. It was naivety, really. The Social Hub launch was not something that we were expecting to be a big launch. We kind of map out one big launch per year, and that was something we launched at the end of January. It was just it was an app we had. It hadn't really cost us much to get it developed, and it was just Rich said, "Oh, should we launch it?" And I said, "Yeah, we'll stick it on my account." So we moved. Richard's account was like, it's a time-tested account. It's running a lot of money through it and everything. So we put the Social launch, went through my account, went through my JVZoo, went through my PayPal, went through everything of mine. And unbeknown to us, everybody just loved it. And, people jumped on, and it blew up over a day. And so we had that much money come through my account. My PayPal just popped. They just went, whoa, what's going on? And obviously, I'd not envisaged this. I'd not contacted PayPal up front. So we quickly switched it out because it happened at a time I think Richard was asleep when it happened, and Chris was awake in America, and my PayPal had gone, and we were losing sales because obviously it was really late at night here as well. So somehow Chris had woke me up and told me something was wrong, and we switched the PayPal to his PayPal. But obviously, with the amount of traffic that had gone, people had been trying to buy it. Then they came back and they ended up buying it on this. This was a Saturday night. So on the Saturday and the Sunday, there was that much people came back. They were getting reminders that they tried to buy, they couldn't. And then Chris's PayPal popped as well. So that was 2 that went in 2 days. And then we couldn't put Richard's name on into it, I don't think. So we had to just use his daughter's PayPal on Sunday night. Okay. And that we were literally just ringing PayPal all the time, just checking, making sure it was okay. Because we did lose a lot of sales by the PayPal, our payment processor going down. So and now what we do, I spent a lot of time talking to PayPal after that and explaining to them the situation.
Did you get the money back?
Sorry?
Did PayPal give you the money eventually?
No, they didn't take any money from us. What they did is they just locked it.
Okay.
And they basically they shut my account down until they did a review of it. So I couldn't use it. They didn't take any money. They just basically said, right, look, you're not doing anything with it. But luckily, after speaking to them, Richard put me in. I had a couple of people who knew people then. I ended up getting in touch with an account manager and having a dedicated manager who's in Ireland. And I speak to him all the time now. So going forward now, whoever's account we put it through, 1 week before, we will ring them up. And we'll say, look, please put a note on the account. There's going to be an influx of money coming through. Mm-hmm. And just because it's an automation process for them. What it is, it happens automatically. They've explained to me what's inside PayPal. So it's not some human that goes and says, oh, yeah. But it triggers a button because it's so different to the normal like actions of a PayPal account. So what they do is that if you have a note added to your account, and it gets triggered and someone goes in, because when it's triggered, someone will look at it and they see the note, then they can switch it back pretty quickly. So it might go down for like 5 minutes or something now, whereas before it just literally got chucked away and we had to beg for it back. It took about 18 days, I think, to get my PayPal back, something like that.
Great. So I think the lesson there is that you have to be very careful with the payment processes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even now, today, I think PayPal's even worse now than what it was back then. I know a lot of people have had their PayPal shut since then. And I mean, we now offer, since then, we've always done this now on every single launch. We offer Stripe and PayPal on every launch now. So at least if one goes down, then the other's still there in theory. So yeah, you just have to be, I can understand it from their point of view. I mean, if you've got an account that's maybe seeing like $200 or $300 a day going through it, and all of a sudden you're seeing 60, 70, 80 grand going through in a day, then obviously it's going to raise some eyebrows, isn't it? You know, so it's just preempting it, really. That's what I would say. Just make sure you preempt it with your payment process, because it's a key thing. If that goes down, you're screwed, you know?
Okay. So let's go back again. I'm going to ask the same question. So first launch, and you've got all this experience you've accumulated over the years, and you're starting fresh. What would you do differently now, apart from the payment processor?
Different from the first one?
Not
much, really.
Yeah, the first one is the most difficult for most people. That's where...
Okay, yeah, sorry. Going back to the very first launch I ever did. But see, again, I was spoiled because I got brought in and I kind of worked under the umbrella. At the time, Richard and Mark had Craig Crawford, who was at the time was a really good affiliate manager. He was at the top of his game. And they kind of just brought me in at the side from the Clicks launch, and I wasn't really involved in it too much, but they would just keep getting my face recognized, saying, "Oh, Paul's getting involved with it," but I wasn't really doing any work.
Okay,
I was just kind of just sat on the sidelines watching it and just taking it all in and making notes and learning how they did it. So I've kind of been spoiled because I'm not your average person who's come in, and I mean, my first launch did 140K. So it was like other people don't really get that very often, I don't think. So I've kind of been spoiled from the start just because I've had good people around me.
So imagine you never had that audience and that email list and you had to start on your own, but you still have the experience you've accumulated over the years. So how would you start? You have a product, you want to...
Literally, I would just reach out to people. You've just got to reach out to people and just be human. Honestly, that's a key thing. Make friends with people. I mean, we've just launched a product a few weeks ago called the Newbie Playbook Affiliate. I mean, Richard don't normally launch with other people. It's very, very rare that we do. We've only done it a couple of times. And this is an example of what somebody did he didn't have an email list. He was a newbie. He's never launched anything. And this launch the other week was his first one. And this is how it happened. He came to... I ran an event here in Thailand back in December last year in Pattaya, where a lot of affiliate marketers and launchers and people like that from around the world came to it. And he turned up, this guy called Steve, and he wanted to get into the game. He used to work for Neil Napier as a content writer. And he's a really nice guy, clever guy, and he didn't have an email list, but he wanted to get into the game. And at the event, there was some vendors there who was Karthik and Saurabh Bhatanja. I don't know if you know him, but they came up with this product called Market Presso. And what it was like, you could have your own version of Fiverr. It's a very good platform. It's a solid product. And they were kind of showcasing it at the event, sort of talking about it. And Steve saw it and he thought, right, I've got an idea. And he came up with this idea that he would go and find the perfect customers for that product and go and reach out to them. So he went to lots of groups, and this is what he made a product of what he actually did. Because what he did, he went out, he got all these people who might be interested in MarketPresso when it launched in January.
Okay.
And then when it did launch, he promoted to it, and he did his own private little webinars himself. He did webinars to people and talked about it, and then sold the product on the back of it. But he'd already warmed these people up for about 6 weeks. And so we noticed he was on this leaderboard. And I thought, wow, that was that guy we met in Pattaya, and he didn't have a list. And like, he's now done like 12 grand in a week. How has he done that? So then I bumped into him in Bangkok. We were having a couple of drinks, and I said, come on, tell me what you did. He said, oh, well, I'm going to do a product, but I need someone to launch it with. And then, would you do it? Would you launch it with me? And I said, I need to see it. I said, we don't launch. I'd have to ask Richard. I mean, we don't launch with people. We just don't do it. Okay. He just went, look, it's all done. You don't have to do anything. I just need you to help me get some people on from the affiliate side of it. Okay. And so me and Rich looked at it, and we thought, wow, yeah, it's really clever what he's done there. And he was just an info product. So I spoke to Rich, and he said, yeah, okay, I'll throw a couple of bits of software into it to pad it out. Okay. So what they ended up getting was not just his course, but they also got softwares that would help them do what he had done, what he was teaching. So we threw in an email marketing software, we threw in some survey software, which is kind of what he'd been doing. And it all fit together really well. And it was his first launch, and he was over the moon. But what he'd done there was kind of just reaching out. You know, he'd gone there in two perspectives. He'd gone to the event and he'd met people that he knew could maybe JV with him and help him. But then what he did, because at the event, he identified a product that he knew could make a lot of money, and he knew there was a big prize pool, so he knew people were going to buy it. Okay. And then he went out and he made contact with the people who were the perfect customer. So what he did he had a three-pronged attack, really. But he was a newbie. He had nothing. Okay. And he just, amazingly, when we're talking now, less than 6 months later, and he's got a good Facebook group. He's had a nice launch under his belt. He's got a good email list that he's marketing to now. So he's up and running now, you know. But he did it. He just proved that anybody could do it, you know. Exactly. And I think it goes back to the thing that you have to be personal. I think nowadays we try to be too technical, too digital with everything, where we basically try to do everything over the email, try to do everything through ads and stuff. But it just comes down to building relationships with the people. So I think 100%, 100%. I mean, I'll tell you now, I love Mario. He's a great friend of mine, Mario Brown, but he's just had this Ada Comply, or he's had something launch this week, and he's haunted me everywhere around the internet with his ads. And I mean, they've been absolutely everywhere, like way more than anyone else, but I'd not clicked on one of those ads. I mean, when he spoke to me in Skype, then yeah, I spoke to him. Yeah, okay, we'll promote it, you know, but it's just the ads don't do anything for me. Anybody who's running JV ads, yeah, they're never going to work with me. So you may as well not target me. You know, save yourself some money. Right. It's just it's not going to work. Exactly. So I think we need to go back to basics. Just reach out to people and build relationships. Honestly, I'm a massive advocate of just be yourself, be normal. And some people are going to. There's probably loads of people who hate me out there, but what you have to do is you don't want everybody to love you. Just find the people who do like you, find the people that you like, and just work with them, man. There's hundreds and hundreds of people. Like I said, we do well off launches by just making sure we have 10 decent affiliates on, and the rest will follow. If you get 10 people who hit it on your launch day, they send a lot of traffic, then it'll go to the number one on the platform you're on. Other people will see it, then they'll jump on board. So just work hard with 10 people. Just be good with them, and the rest will come. Great. Paul, that was great. So you talk about Richard. He was your mentor. Who else apart from Richard and Chris have been really influential to your growth? Well, just absolutely Richard. Just unbelievably Richard. But I mean, there's lots and lots of people. I learn from everybody I speak to. But from launching, the one guy I've met, a very good friend of mine now, is Rob Jones. I think he's probably one of the top affiliates on. Or his company and everything he has, he's probably one of the top affiliates on ClickBank at the moment. But what I've learned from Rob was that he stepped up. He's told me many a times to do it, and I should listen to him more. But he moved from doing like the mid-ticket, the small ticket like we do, the lower end, $67 type launches. And one day he just said, you know what? He was doing $27. He said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go $2,000. And it was the same product. He put it to $2,000, and then he just made like 10 times as much money, like within the first few months. And now he only deals with high ticket stuff now, Wow. And I've learned a lot from Rob, the way he does stuff, the way he runs events on the back of launches. And there's a lot of things he's taught me that I just need to build up the confidence to go and do, and to take it another step and step into the big league if it was, just go even further than where we're at the moment. So Yeah, there's lots of people I listen to, and I've had a big impact on me. Even people like Russell Brunson, just by going to the ClickFunnels events and reading his books and just following people. People like Gary Vaynerchuk. I said, the people either love him or hate him, but some of the things he said to me just resonated. And I got all his audio books. I listened to all of his books when I was first starting out. I used to listen to Russell's podcast every day in the morning. Walking to work, and just there's lots of people that are influential out there, and I do read quite a few books. I don't so much read anymore, to be honest. I have Audible, and I just listen to audiobooks whenever I'm on public transport, whenever I'm going in a swimming pool. I've got underwater Walkman now that goes in your ears. So when I'm swimming, every morning I do 30 lengths. So every morning when I'm swimming, I can listen to an audiobook. Just everyone is quite influential, really. There's so many people I could name, but people I know would be Richard and for Rob Jones, really.
Right. Okay, Paul, thank you very much. That was a pleasure. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. Great. And I hope to speak to you soon.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. Bye. Take care.